Live via videotape from the underground TV studios in Hospira's headquarters, it's Bridge TV, providing a bridge to the Bridge Network. And now, it's the non-award-winning Bridge TV news team featuring Jay Sukow at the anchor desk, field correspondent Ellen Fox, roving reporter Jim Gerardo, and political commentator Adam West. And now, Jay Sukow.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jay Sukow. Thank you for joining us. Our top story for this broadcast, Hospira reps. Successful, stylish, and advancing wellness in communities across the United States. It's clear how Hospira reps have been moving fast and flexing their entrepreneurial spirit and getting the job done since their December National Sales Training meeting. You folks have been as cool as the other side of the pillow. We've got a full plate today. We're going to talk to Pete Karras live in studio. We've got features about Lakeland Regional Medical Center and Baylor Healthcare, plus a whole lot more. But hey, enough of me talking about it. Let's get to it. Here are the latest headlines from the field. The S3 re-sign was looming large recently over Hospira. Understandable, as it meant that 900 contracts were up for grabs. It was a daunting task that awaited Chuck Marcasio and Joe Talangis. They had a realistic goal, to re-sign each and every one of them. And how many of these contracts did they re-sign? Anyone? Anyone? That's right, they re-signed 99% of those 900 contracts. Oh, no big deal, right? It only accounts for more than 1/4 of Hospira's domestic sales. And since IV is the core business in the company, this success was huge, and it will open the door for further sales for all of Hospira. So you may be asking, what takeaways can you put in your pocket to help you achieve this level? Well, Chuck and Joe recommend the following: teamwork, understanding a customer's needs, flawless execution, and providing quality second to none. Let's check out what Chuck had to say.
The re-sign effort with Hospira in our S3 agreements demonstrates the primary core message that I believe Hospira is about that I've seen, and that's our dedication to the customer and always ensuring that we provide the best value, the best quality products to our customer, with the end being that we're concerned and most concerned about patient care.
And it's just that simple. Nice job, Chuck. Also leading our headlines today, Evanston Northwestern Healthcare, which is comprised of 3 hospital systems, is the top IT hospital system in the nation. Well, get this. They just purchased 912 pump devices from Hospira that will initially be wired, but will become wireless in phases. This launch signals the first commercial implementation for Hospira. The team responsible was comprised of Craig Terrio, Amy Bodie, Harry Runke, and Kim Rouse. What was the secret of their success? Selling the advantages of wireless to Northwestern. Kim Rouse says it was all about teamwork and communication. They also became educated on the customer's issues and were straightforward in presenting options to challenges. Kim gave us some insight into their strategy. Let's take a look.
We experienced some challenges with the actual release date and that it had to be pushed back a few times. And I think a lesson learned from all of this is that teamwork, both on the part of our customer, Evanston, and everybody within Hospira, there were so many people that helped us out, was what made the difference. We all pulled together and conferenced and came up with solutions that worked for both of us.
Thanks, Kim. What an incredible achievement at Evanston Northwestern Healthcare. Now let's focus on the ceftriaxone launch. Ceftriaxone, as you know, is generic Rocephin. There were a lot of heavy goals and expectations placed on managers and field reps concerning this product. Alternate Site was dealing with a fragmented home market, predominantly run by home infusion companies. That was the challenge that Tony D'Antonio and his team were facing. They got over 400 orders and 130,000 grams pre-signed. But they drew on past successes and strong relationships already formed through other products. Let's watch as Tony tells us more about it.
I believe that we were in a leadership situation in the launch of generic ceftriaxone, is that we had great support out in the field before the product was even launched. And what I mean by that, we had an exciting pre-book strategy, and that we were careful not to talk about FDA or pricing issues, but we were able to educate our referral sources on just how wonderful it would be for a generic drug like this to come on board, mindful that it was probably the most highly prescribed drug in a home healthcare market, and it had great utility also in long-term care market.
The approach was to focus on areas using the largest quantities of generic Rocephin. Makes sense. It's like fishing. You go where the fish are. Then they prepared for the task and put a plan together. That seems to be a pretty consistent approach throughout all these success stories. And rounding out our top headlines, we move to the arena of anesthesia and critical care, where Dean Mathewson and the ACC team scored a huge victory. They decided to take their advanced sensor catheter to Rockford Memorial Hospital and go head-to-head against the competition. At that time, this customer was a small-use Presidex account. Through this process, they learned they wanted to upgrade their Edwards product. From that point, it was as simple as asking for the business and earning the right for an evaluation. In the end, they won the business because they had better technology and they made the effort to get it. We sat down with Dean so that he could elaborate.
All I'm looking for is the opportunity, because I have enough confidence in the product that if I get the opportunity, the products will sell themselves because they're good products, they're good quality, they're accurate, and they work. We have done everything that we said we would, and that just gives Hospira a good name.
Thanks, Dean. And that is the news straight from the Bridge TV headline newswire. That's right, that music can only mean one thing. It's time for our Fox on the Run feature. Let's go live to Bridge TV's roving reporter, Ellen Fox. Ellen is constantly on the lookout for the hottest stories in the world of Hospira. And with the sentiment that turnaround is fair play, this Fox is hunting you. Ellen, what have you dug up about this Baylor healthcare story?
Well, Jay, I've tracked down an incredible success story about a high-profile, pivotal national account. This is a story that's been 7 years in the making. It is the very essence of driving business, taking ownership, and advancing wellness. Or, as Nicole Drake has heard Candy Arvello say again and again, are you driving or are you riding? I think after you see this story, you'll agree that everyone involved has definitely been in the driver's seat.
Baylor strategically has always been a healthcare system that was very important both to Abbott and to Hospira. But it's also very, very important in its own medical community.
We had to think outside the box. This wasn't a cookie cutter deal by any means. From the get-go, it was a unique situation.
They were looking for a strategic partner. So what we had to do was convince them. We had to earn our stripes. And it was a long-term plan, and it was a team plan. No one person accomplished the goal.
Our team worked very hard with the people inside to give them the products and the value that they were looking for.
One of the things I always ask my team is going to be, when they present me with a problem, are you riding or are you driving? Because ultimately, way too frequently, we assume that the customer knows the path, knows what direction to take. And in reality, the customer is looking for a partnership that says, you please make all the resources available to me.
The win with the Baylor healthcare system is very important for Hospira because it proves that the best hospitals are choosing the best devices.
What it finally does is it says, we're there, we have arrived, we have developed excellence.
The Baylor sales shows that absolutely nothing is impossible.
If you have the patience and you have the tenacity and you have the passion, then you build for your future and you create a reputation for yourself and your company and your peers. And you bring the customer the resources they need and you partner with the customer. When the customer is ready to look, they're going to come to you.
So, as you can see, for Candy Arvello, Nicole Drake, and Tom Wagner, the entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well. And they're not alone. Stories like these are happening all across the country with the Hospira sales force. And wherever these stories occur, I'll be there to hunt them down. For Bridge TV, this is Ellen Fox. Back to you, Jay.
Well, thank you for that report, Ellen. That was one incredibly successful story straight from the field. And speaking of successful stories, it's my pleasure to be joined here live in studio with Hospira's very own Pete Karras. Pete, thanks for being on the show.
Jay, thank you for having me on the show. I'm thrilled to be here today with you.
Now, Pete, there's been a lot that's been going on since December's national sales training. Now, you've had the successes with S3 resigns, Evanston Northwestern, and Baylor Healthcare, just to name a few. So I'm no expert, Pete, but from where I'm sitting right here, it seems that those Hospira reps are out there and they're getting the job done.
They sure are. We are executing in the field like we've never done before. What S3 does in my mind is it represents the embodiment of our sales organization who has been able to go out and re-sign customers that have been with us for a number of years. Not only have we re-signed them through the year 2008, but what that means to me is we have solidified our account base, which provides us with the opportunity to introduce new products over the coming years. So as our R&D people develop new products, we then can take those products and introduce them into this account base that we've now solidified.
That's very interesting, Pete. Now, Pete, my information here says that over 90% of your fill rates on orders have been achieved.
Absolutely, and that 90%, it's actually 98%, Jay, to be exact, but what that really means is that our sales force can focus on meeting customer needs, improving healthcare, improving patient safety. What that really suggests to me is that we don't have to worry about back orders, going in and talking to accounts and asking for forgiveness about not being able to supply their needs. The second part of that, to me, is a reflection of the back end of the organization. Manufacturing people are working day and night to make sure that there are products on the shelf to meet our customers' needs. So what this really suggests to me is that our success and what we've been able to do during the first few months of this year is a total team effort and teamwork.
Okay, Pete, so it sounds like all the parts of Hospira are working together to form that whole.
They sure are. Each and every part of our organization is delivering. Manufacturing's delivering. R&D's delivering, as you attested to by our ceftriaxone launch earlier this year. So things are happening, and each and every day, the organization seems to be gelling more, and the teamwork seems to be getting closer and closer.
Okay, Pete, looking down the road 6 to 12 months, what are the new trends and technologies that will define our market?
A number of things, and what we really need to do, in my mind, is continue to execute on our medication management system, our wireless capability, our MedNet capability, and coming forward in the future months, we're going to be introducing a triple channel A+, as well as our LifeCare PCA. And LifeCare PCA, in my mind, is probably the biggest product that we've yet to introduce, and that most of the medication errors today are attendant with patient-controlled analgesia and narcotic analgesics. So that product, in my mind, is a real landmark product, and one that will not only be able to capitalize on our current pump base, but recognize that our patient-controlled analgesia is used in over 70% of the hospitals today. So it's not only used in Hospira accounts where we've got pumps, but also in competitive accounts as well.
And Pete, why is this important for your sales reps out in the field?
It's important because it allows them to build on the account base that they've got and allows them to serve the needs of their customers, who are in turn serving the needs of patients in our hospitals, which in my mind is really what this is all about.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What are some of the broader strategic issues and opportunities related to Hospira's position in the marketplace?
When I look at our company, when the company was first launched, really what we did is we embarked upon three major businesses: infusion therapy, medication management systems, and specialty pharmaceuticals. If you look at the healthcare environment and the marketplace going forward, those three product lines do, in my mind, what is needed in the market. It helps patients, it reduces medication errors, and it helps healthcare providers reduce their overall costs.
Okay, core values. Give me a story, give me a recent example that brings those to life.
Yeah, there are a number of stories that represent our values, but in my mind, and I'm a bit biased here, the sales organization is the organization that has made this company successful in and of itself. We've obviously had a lot of support, but the sales force has been the face of the customer. We have been the person to take the Hospira story forward and interface with the customer and dialogue with the customer and represent what we're all about.
Okay, Pete, as we wrap up here, are there any final thoughts you want to share with our viewing audience?
The final thought that I'd like to share with the viewing audience is that since the inception of the company, we've been a publicly traded company for nearly 18 months now. I was optimistic then, My optimism has done nothing but increase over the past number of months.
So Hospira, advancing wellness on all fronts.
Absolutely. Advancing wellness through the right people and the right products.
Great. Thanks for being with us here today.
And thanks for having me.
You know, when you really want to put your finger on the pulse of Hospira, there's only one person you can turn to. Of course, I'm talking about the one, the only, Jim Gerardo, in a feature we like to call The World According to Jim. We sent Jim out into the field to ask you, the ever-diligent Hospira rep, what drives you? Here's what he discovered.
This year, I want to know about what drives you. What motivates you?
What motivates me about MedNet is I believe it's the best product on the market to keep patients safe.
Just being with a team and being part of the team.
Everyone has that attitude of just wanting to perform their best all the time.
The crew that I work with.
You think you were going to sneak away from me?
Yes, I was trying to get away.
Better.
What's important to you?
What's important? All of you. All of you are important to me.
For me, it's probably goal attainment.
Money helps.
Nothing's wrong with that answer.
That's
Thank
right,
you.
for
Good
sales.
answer. There you go. We're driven by success.
I think we have a great product, great story to tell.
We are glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming to Hospira.
Great stuff, Jim. You know what drives me? The belief in Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes' love, and the incredible achievements that are taking place out in the field by the Hospira sales force. So it's time once again for... In January, Lakeland Regional Medical Center in Lakeland, Florida, implemented 1,075 Plum A+ devices with Hospira MedNet software. The deal itself was a success, and the training and implementation successfully broke new ground for the account and the PLH district. And this finger in my ear is telling me that Ellen Fox has tracked down all the major players in this field.
That's right, Jay. Here at Hospira, I've hunted down a story of mammoth proportions. It's bigger than landing on the moon, David and Goliath, and Herbie Fully Loaded, all rolled into one. I'm talking, of course, about the amazing accomplishments at Lakeland Regional Medical Center. I had an opportunity to sit down with all the major players in this story, and what a tale they had to tell.
Lakeland is a VHA hospital that went through the S3 re-sign process, and as part of that S3 negotiation, we talked about doing new devices, and then we talked about doing MedNet devices with the Plum A+.
It was just nice as a whole for Hospira to see that, for one, that the process works and that it can be successful. You know, it was nice. I mean, we put a lot into these pumps as far as the MedNet software, and that it works, and the fact that this implementation went so smoothly. There was really no hiccups.
We try to utilize very little manpower for education. We use the entire district for implementation, but if you look at the numbers in the schedule, we only use the entire district for basically 2 full days. I think when you can create a wow factor for your customers, which this implementation did, when we first went to the customer, they did not believe that we could do it in the time frame that we had told them. From drug library development to the beginning of the education process to basically tell them that we were going to roll out 1,000 pumps in one day, the customer was disbelieving. But throughout the process, as we developed champions within the account, and as they started to see our level of dedication to the process and how efficiently we worked, they became believers.
We're actually surprised how even the nurses that didn't make the in-services and then were actually trained on them, once they got in there and went live with them, they thought they were very easy to use, they're intuitive. The human factors development plays a big part in that.
It's a fundamental shift in mindset in how we approach education with our customers, and it's something that we have to do in order to make sure that we are getting the appropriate value for the services that we provide, because we are very valuable people.
Nurses are actually used to an older style, and the fact that we used to have somebody stand in front of them and actually teach them how to operate the pump. And a simulation lab actually allows you to have the nurse go through the device at her own pace and as quickly or as slowly as she would like to.
We tried something with this customer that had never been done for them. They hadn't had implemented pumps in 10 years, and I'm certain the process 10 years ago was much different than what we did. And it was unique in the fact of how we approached the education process and the implementation process.
Lakeland is doing fine. They haven't had any problems with their devices, and they've actually become a reference site for Hospira.
And the success is when you implement on one day and the customer comes to you and says, that was absolutely fantastic. That's when you know that you've done a great job.
That is an amazing display of acting with speed if I ever saw one. It shows how people out in the field are advancing wellness day after day, no matter how daunting the task. With an attitude like that, it's no wonder Hospira has got the competition on the run. This is Ellen Fox. Back to you, Jay.
Thanks, Ellen. And finally, a story so bizarre, there's no way we could have made it up. Reps from one of our competitors were heard loudly complaining at a recent open house held at a nursing home. Their beef? It appears our Hospira reps had the nerve to bring their new tablet PCs and use them to deliver a seamless, continuous presentation. What was clearly an appropriate and intelligent use of Hospira technology apparently translated into rage for the competition, who said they were unaware they had authorization from the nursing home to bring anything other than pamphlets. Yes, what was Hospira thinking? Using 21st century technology in the 21st century. I mean, come on. When asked, the CEO of our competitor had this to say, via telegram. We will come back and give our presentations on our tablet PCs. Stop. Just as soon as someone tells us what they are. End communication. In a related story, that same competitor was apparently delighted this week when they learned about a new technology called the stapler. That's all the news we have time for today. Keep advancing wellness and keep your entrepreneurial spirit alive and thriving, Hospira. I'm Jay Sukow. For all of us at Bridge TV, thank you for joining us.